All right, let's go. All right, all right. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Peace, Sabbath blessings. You know, peace to everybody that's here. Peace to everybody that may be joining us online. So we need people to help participate, organize, and get this gospel out so we can be done with all this nonsense in the world. The Lord can come back and we can get that gift that Brother Chris just so excellently put out in the lesson. Can we just give another hand for Brother Chris in that great lesson?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That was fire.
Yes, sir.
And guess what? If you take this mark of the beast, you're going to end up in the lake of fire. Yeah. And you're not going to get that great reward that Brother Chris just profoundly broke down for us, brothers and sisters. Because that's the great reward that comes with obedience to God. This mark of the beast we're going to talk about is like on the other spectrum of that lesson, because this is going to be for the people who disobey God, brothers and sisters. And you're going to see what your end is going to be. You're going to see what your reward is going to be, brothers and sisters. But see, because Satan deceived the world, we hardly know about a beast, and we hardly know what that mark is, brothers and sisters, and where that starts, how it starts in your mind. We don't understand that. You know, so the title of the lesson is the real MOB, the real mob, right? Which is the mark of the beast. And it's funny because it's kind of like a play on words, because the real mob, you know, the real gangsters, the real mafia, brothers and sisters, is actually can be found within the papacy, within the Vatican, within the Catholic Church. They the real gangsters. They really calling the shots. And we're going to understand that they calling the shots because they're going to tell you to lay down or get down, brothers and sisters. Get down or lay down. That's what they're going to tell you. So it's one or the other, you know, because that's when you the boss, when you in charge, you know, just like the Godfather. That's how it was, you know, Marlon Brando, right? Well, what he do? He told everybody underneath him to kiss his ring because they was paying homage. That means he was above. Well, what the Pope do?
Come on.
He do the exact same thing. He said kiss the ring, right? Because that's the real mob, brothers and sisters. See, but we got to understand our God is greater than all this.
Yes, sir.
God is bigger than all of this that we see going on in the world today.
Yes,
all the people of power, they're going to be brought low, brothers and sisters. And the meek and the humble, those that obey God, they're going to inherit the earth. So we're going to understand that today. But just to show how confused the world is about topics like this, brothers and sisters, I'm going to play something real quick to open this out. This is Morgan Freeman when he was doing his National Geographic special about the story of God. That's what it was called, the story of God, right? So I'm going to play something. This mic working, right? So I'm going to play this, and you're going to see he's actually trying to decode or find out what the mark of the beast is. So he's about to go to I ain't going to say it. You're going to find out where he's going to go. And he's going to try to find out what the mark is.
Biblioteca Castellanatense near the Vatican.
Oh, he's at the Vatican.
Expert in early Christianity.
To try to find out what the mark of the beast is.
Haynes Eitzen. She tells me she has compelling evidence that reveals the identity of the beast.
That's funny.
The identity of the beast, huh?
That's funny.
It's Morgan Freeman. This is like in 1955. It's like, no, that's
so,
a joke.
What exactly do we have here?
Well, I've been looking at some fragments of the book of Revelation.
Oh.
The book of Revelation.
That's right.
The book of the end of days.
The end of days, the apocalypse. It's a prophetic book. It's got loads of symbolism, but it's also very much a political book and making a political claim about the cause of evil.
The cause of evil.
Or who's responsible for evil.
Trying to get the people out there to see this.
So tell me about this coding, because as I understand it, the Antichrist was given a code, so they would never call his name. They would just say it by code.
Well, there has been a lot of debate about what this number, in particular 666, who it refers to.
666, huh? Who it is.
There has also been a strong argument made for 666 referring to Nero.
Nero was emperor of Rome from 54 to 68 AD.
around the time when the first Christians began to arrive in Rome.
So, how do you make 666 translate to Nero?
When you apply numerical values to the name Kaiser Neron and you add up those numbers, you come to 666.
Oh, so that's what it is, huh? Okay.
In ancient Greek and Hebrew, every letter had a corresponding number. If you add up the letters of the name for Emperor Nero, written in Hebrew, Kaiser Neron, the total comes to 666. But Nero is just one of many names that can add up to 666. Kim believes a later copy of the Book of Revelation, found in an archaeological dig in Egypt, confirms the beast is Nero.
One of the interesting things about these fragments is that we've got two different numbers.
What are those letters?
All right, so
P
you
is
got
a
the
600,
idea, right?
C.
So they said that when you add up the numbers of Nero's name in Hebrew and Latin and all that Greek, it adds up to 666, brothers and sisters. They was in one of the biggest and best libraries in the world. But that just goes to show, brothers and sisters, that God did not give his wisdom to none other and nobody else than Israel, brothers and sisters. That's why they don't understand that. That's why they wrong. That's why I can even go into a book written by our beloved brother Elisha, and we know that people say that it's things like Nero. We know that. You know, they said that it's Trump. They said it was Obama. They said it was, Ronald Reagan. Because the letters in his name, right, add up. They try to say it add up to 666. People try to say it's anything, brothers and sisters. Right. They try to say it's any and everything because they lack understanding, because God didn't choose them to get. Actually, go to Romans 3 real quick, man. We're going to see why, and that's a shame for Morgan Freeman to be an Israelite and not know this, brothers and sisters. Right. He went to Rome. It was right under his nose. The true mark of the beast was right under his nose, and he didn't even know it. He was in the Vatican, brothers and sisters. Yeah. Romans 3, we're going to see. This is why that so-called scholar didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Pick it up at verse 1. Romans 3 and verse 1. Go ahead.
What advantage have the Jew?
What advantage have what?
The Jew.
The Roman? The Gentile? Nah, the Jew, brothers and sisters. This is an advantage. It's a vantage point with knowing who Israel is, and when Israel knows who God is, it's a vantage point, brothers and sisters, because he chose them. He chose them. That's why Jesus came and said, I'm only sent to the lost sheep, because everything starts with Israel. Yep. And the most important thing we all need is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from God, brothers and sisters. That's why Chris was able to deliver that strong message from the Lord. Because what advantage have the Jew? Keep reading.
Or what profit is there of circumcision?
Go ahead, bro.
Much every way, chiefly.
Right. So he said much every way. That means in every way possible, there's an advantage of knowing who the true Israelites are. Go ahead.
Because that unto them were committed the oracles of God.
Oh, was committed the oracles of God, brothers and sisters. The oracles or the answers of God was committed to this chosen group of people. This black people that's been scattered in slavery across the whole world, cursed and oppressed due to disobedience to God's covenant. Mm-hmm. That same group of people has the answers, and we're going to show you that today. Mm-hmm. We're going to start this lesson off in Revelation 13. Revelation 13, and if I can pull up something real quick. If I don't, I'll try to look for it later. Oh, here, I think I got it. Something on Nero. Yeah. Yeah. See, just like this, brothers and sisters, this is an example of what I'm talking about. I didn't plan on doing this like this, but it just goes to show This is from For Then Shall Be Great Tribulation by Alicia Israel, an Israelite. See, it's not enough to just know you're Israel. You got to obey God to get understanding. And that's when you have the advantage. Once you start to obey God and put his word into action, God will bless you with understanding. That's what the whole nation is supposed to be about.
Right.
The whole nation.
Right.
That's why we were chosen, brothers and sisters. So, but look, listen to this from this book. It's called Who is the Antichrist? It says, what man could cause such turmoil upon the earth? This is from page 12. There have been several powerful men who have been suggested as candidates for this insidious position. Right? There is a tendency to view candidates who are not only powerful but responsible for the death of multitudes. For instance, a case has been made that the Roman Emperor Nero, 37 AD to 68 AD, is the Antichrist largely because of his persecution of Christians. That's why. So we understand all of this, brothers and sisters. We understand what the world teaches. We understand the lies and the deception they put out and the confusion they put out. We making it right, brothers and sisters, with the word. So let's start this lesson in Revelation 13, bro. Pick it up when you get it.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
All right, so we talking about the beast. That's what they just looked at in the video. They was trying to figure out who's the beast, right? Keep going.
And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like a leopard.
So he said names of blasphemy. That means it's anti-Christ, anti-God. It's against God, brothers and sisters, when it's blasphemy. So off the bat, whoever this system is, or whoever, if it's a person, if it's a system, whatever it is, but we're going to find out. We know off the bat it's blasphemous and it's anti-God. Right off the bat. This is the real mob. They blasphemous, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
And his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power.
Right.
And his seat and great authority.
All right, I know I got the Dragon Ball Z shirt, but this ain't talking about no Dragon Ball Z. This ain't talking about Dragon Balls and Krillin and the Spirit Bomb and Vegeta. No. This is not that dragon, brothers and sisters. Revelation 12 tell you who that dragon is. That dragon is none other than Satan the devil.
That's right.
Keep reading, bro. It said, wait, hold on, my bad. It says, and the dragon gave him his power, his seat, and great authority. So all the power he got, he got power, brothers and sisters. Excuse me. Yeah, he got power. That's why he tell people to bow down. That's why all the leaders come out. When the Pope dies, all the world leaders come out. That's why when the Pope comes to town, the whole place shut down like it's quarantine. Mm-hmm. Like it's the coronavirus. Every time the Pope comes to town, the city shuts down like that. This ain't the first lockdown that's happened in the state. It's not even the first lockdown that's happened related to a virus, brothers and sisters. But lockdowns occur when the Pope comes to town because he got power and great authority. That's the real mob. The real mob tell you what to do.
Right.
The real mob tell you to get down, to lay down. I'm not gonna make that. I'm just letting you know. I'm not gonna make that. So it might be a little like 30 over. I'm not gonna make that though. Right. So, but thank you. So yeah, that's cool. Thank you. So the power, seat, great authority, that mob power you got, that came from Satan. Being able to deceive the whole world with religion. Why you think the Catholic Church is the biggest organization? We gonna find out who it is. Yes, keep going, bruh.
And I saw one of his heads, as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed.
So he got to rise up. Go ahead.
And all the world wondered after the beast.
The whole world? The world, Craig? The whole world. They feel like they top flight security of the world in their mind. That's why they feel like they can tell the world what to do. The world, Craig. Keep reading.
And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast.
Oh, they worshiped the dragon that gave power to the beast. So when you worship the Catholic Church, when you follow the Sunday organization, you know, the religious organization of Sunday worship, you are directly following Satan. It doesn't matter what your intents are. Our attack is not against you. if you are in Sunday church. Our attack is against the mob, against the system. And you got to come out. That's why Jesus said, come out of her. Because it's antichrist. The Lord's the real biggest coldest gangster. He said, if you not with me, you against me. That's right. That's what the Lord said. The Lord came up with sleeping with the fishes. Right? Because he told you, if you offend one of these little ones that come in his name, that's following him, it's better if a millstone was put around your neck and it was cast in the bottom of the sea. Swimming with the fishes, brothers and sisters. Jesus is the real gangster, but the world don't know that because the world's been deceived by the anti-mob organization, brothers and sisters. Antichrist. That's against Jesus. It's an enemy to Jesus. That's why the world don't know this. Alright, so that's why who was able to make war with him. That's why I say that. Right? But right now we got the world wandering after the beast, following Catholic tradition. Keep going.
And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
I'm going to let you know it's going to be the lamb. But he coming back as a lion. Try to go to war with a lion. And see what happens. Skip down to verse 17.
And that no man might buy or sell.
Alright, so this is where the infamous verse come from, brothers and sisters. And that no man might buy or sell, save what?
Save he that the mark, or the name of the beast.
Save he that had
the mark.
Or
the name of the beast.
Okay.
Or the number of his
And we're
name.
going to stop it right there. And I got another reference. I got a few references today, brothers and sisters. I'm going to show you right off the bat, though. I'm going to show you something. It says Douay Rhymes Commentary. That's what we about to look at. All right. Douay Rhymes Commentary. What is that? What is Douay Rhymes Commentary? I'm going to let you know. I got the Catholic Encyclopedia right here from newadvent.org. And I'm going to read you what the Douay Bible is. This is a Bible. Douay Rhymes Bible. It's a Bible, brothers and sisters. It's a Jesuit Bible, by the way. So look, this is what this Bible is. The original Douay version, which is the foundation on which nearly all English Catholic versions are still based, owed its existence to the religious controversies of the 16th century. All right, so this is what it is. It says the work of preparing such a version was undertaken by the members of the English College at Douay in Flanders, founded by William Allen in 1568. He became a cardinal in 1568. They constructed this, they put it together, right? And they did some more stuff. But I want to show you something, brothers and sisters. This is their commentary in their Bible. This is what all Catholic versions are based on. I'm going to show you what they know, brothers and sisters. They know what they're dealing with. They know that they're worshiping Satan. Let me show you something. So we just read Revelation 13, right? So this is their commentary. When it talks about the beast, from verse 3, it says, okay, hold on. No, you cool. I got it. It says, and I saw one of his heads as it were slain to death, and his death's wound was healed, and all the earth was in admiration after the beast. That's what we just read. But this is not the King James version. It's okay. I just read the Douay version, brothers and sisters. We know what it says. All the world wondered after the beast in the King James version. In their commentary, this is what it says about verse 3. So it says one of his heads, talking about the beast. It says, some understand this of the mortal wound, which is the idolatry of the Roman Empire, received from Constantine, which was and it were healed again by Julian the Apostate. So just let that sizzle in your spirit, like they say. Because they understand what Revelation is talking about. Morgan Freeman just had to go to the Pope if he really wanted to know. You feel me? So, with that being said, let's take a look at Daniel, brothers and sisters, because we're going to find out what a kingdom and beast, what all that even is. We're going to find out. Daniel 7, pick it up at verse 1. Daniel 7, pick it up when you get there, bro.
In the first year of Belshazzar, the king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed.
Right.
Then he wrote the dream. and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea.
Okay, so we talking about a vision that Daniel had, brothers and sisters. Verse 3. Now we're going to find out about these beasts. See, they talk about the mark of the beast. They don't even know what the beast is, brothers and sisters.
Right, come on, man. Make it plain.
Let alone the mark. So we're going to get some understanding on what this really is, and it's not Nero. Keep reading.
And four great beasts came up from the sea.
Oh, so we talking about beasts, ain't we?
Yes, sir.
Four great beasts, brothers and sisters. We going to find out what these beasts are. Keep going.
Diverse one from another.
Right.
The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings.
Right.
And behold, till the wings
I beheld till what?
I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Well, we know, if you have some understanding, that was the Babylonian Empire. Mm-hmm. That corresponds with that head of gold. In Daniel 2, the Lord told Daniel to tell King Nebuchadnezzar that he was that head of gold.
Right.
That's the same representation, it's just a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's the Babylonian Empire. Keep going.
And behold, another beast, a second, like a bear, and it raised itself on one side.
Right.
And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh.
Arise, devour much flesh. So it was tearing stuff up. So that bear, that's the Medo-Persian Empire, brothers and sisters. And we know that the Medes, right? We know that that's Russia, brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. We know that Persia's Iran. They still have coalitions together till this day. We know that symbol is a bear right here. Guess what? It's the national symbol of Russia today, brothers and sisters. Yeah. It's always been that big bear. It's always been that big bear. See, ain't nothing changed. This has been set in stone, written, brothers and sisters, foretold by God and his prophets, the Israelites who have the oracles of God.
That's right.
You can't get this nowhere else, and you can't get this in Sunday church, because like I said, you got to be obeying God to get this understanding in the first place. Read Psalm 111. It tells you that a good understanding have all they that keep his commandments, brothers and sisters. That's the only way to get a good understanding. Yep. Keep reading.
After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it.
All right, so that represents the Greek Empire. That was Alexander the Great came up, and then his 4 generals that came up. That's why it says 4 heads, brothers and sisters. Keep reading.
After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast.
Okay, that 4th beast. So if you paid attention in history school, in history class, right, we know the succession of these world kingdoms, because you learn this in history, right, in world history, topical history. You learn about these empires that conquered the world, right? So we went from the Babylonian to the Medes and the Persians to the Greeks. And if you follow world history, you don't even have to know the Bible. You just know that who came on the scene after the Greek Empire? The Roman Empire, right? Mm-hmm. They took right over from Greece. Correct? Yes, keep reading.
Dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces.
Look at that. Realize that this beast is none other like this beast. There's no animal in the animal kingdom for this beast. That's how deadly this beast is. This ain't like the beast that came up before it, brothers and sisters. This was a great and terrible beast. It wasn't no lion, no bear, no tiger, none of that. You know what I'm saying? Because this was a different type of beast. Like they say that's a different type of animal. This was a different type of animal, brothers and sisters. I mean, different. You know, because you never seen nothing like this. You never seen, an empire or a kingdom that not just destroyed you economically or militarily, but destroyed your mind, brothers and sisters, destroyed you spiritually.
That's right.
Have mind control over the whole world. You don't even have to go to church and you believe this nonsense that has, that's really taking over our minds.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's worse on us because not only have they lied, they've lied about who the people are. These true people of God. So we got it double bad because they've whitewashed everything. So you brainwash and whitewash, brothers and sisters, when you dealing with this beast. Because the world ain't never seen nothing like this. This is the real mob. This is the real mob. I'll give you an example. Morgan Freeman was just dead wrong when he just found out, right? And it wasn't him. It's not like he tried to figure it out on his own, right? So he wasn't wrong. The lady was wrong. But he's wrong if he believes that they're right. And just like, I'll give you another example. Tupac. Tupac wasn't in the black church. He wasn't in any type of church. You know, his folks was Black Panthers, brothers and sisters. But guess what? Think about the songs he got. You know, he talking about Hail Mary in a song. That's Catholic. Where'd that come from? I wonder if heaven got a ghetto. You don't go up to heaven when you die, brothers and sisters. But where did that come from? That came from this beast that just totally warped our minds with false doctrine that keeps us disconnected from God. You see what I'm saying? It don't matter if you're in the church or not. The whole world's been deceived. That's everybody. The church world and the world at large. Everybody been deceived by this great and terrible beast. And not only that, they some cold-blood killers.
Yes, sir.
Cold-blooded. I mean, cold-blooded killers. Killers, brothers and sisters. That's Dave Chappelle. But that killers, brothers and sisters. You think about the Inquisition. You think about every power that tried to stand against the Roman Empire. Kill them, brothers and sisters. This is a different type of animal. All right, where you at? What verse you at?
In the middle of 7.
Keep reading.
And stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
Right. See, diverse. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't like the other beasts. The other beasts didn't have mind control. The other beasts didn't have religion to go throughout the whole world. And you might say, well, it's just the Catholics. They're not the only religion. What about things like Islam? That came from Rome too.
That's right.
Do your research. Right. Do your history.
All roads lead to Rome.
All roads lead back to Rome, which is really leading back to Babylon. Brothers and sisters. All right. Finish that out.
And it had 10 horns. Verse 8.
All right. No, 17. Skip down to verse 17. No, you good. Right. We're going to find out what these beasts are in general. Go ahead.
These great beasts, which are 4.
So we just read about 4 beasts, right? We just read about the Babylonian, the Mede and Persian, the Greek, and the Roman, right? So these 4 beasts, what are they, brother? Start from the top again.
These great beasts, which are 4, are 4 kings.
4 kings or 4 kingdoms. A king rules over a kingdom.
Right.
So either way you slice it, we talking about kingdoms that rule the world. That's what we talking about, brothers and sisters. And finish it out.
Which shall arise out of the earth.
So they came out of the earth, and God had his prophets call it before it happened.
Yes,
before it took place. That's why it's called prophecy. It was prophesied before it happened. Only God can do this, brothers and sisters. That's right. That's how we know we dealing with the true and living God. He called world history and all events before they took place. Now that means, once you understand that, once you know that, that means you are required to serve this God.
That's right.
You can throw all the other false gods, false religions away. Because no, they can't do this. They can't do this, brothers and sisters. They can't tell the end from the beginning, and they can't tell the end before it happens. They can't do it. Only God can do that, and that's the God of Israel.
Yes, sir.
You got to put some respect on his name. He the real boss.
Yes, sir.
All right, keep reading. 18.
But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom.
Yep.
And possess the kingdom forever.
Yep.
Even forever and ever.
Yeah, we're going to see that. We're going to see that. So now, if you don't believe me, let's just take a look at some history. We're going to be doing a lot of reading, but it shouldn't be anything we can't handle. So pages 4. It's the 4 Winds of Heaven. It's a book about the Israel of God. You should purchase it. I think it's like $20 or something like that. The 4 Winds of Heaven. Shout out to all my Israel of God brothers and sisters.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to my House of Jacob brothers and sisters. Israel Teach, you know, the Household of Faith Indiana. Shout out to them. Shout out to all the brothers and sisters striving to serve God and keep his commandments, brothers and sisters. Because we all one. We can't forget that. We the church, brothers and sisters. We are the church. Don't forget that. All right, so 4, we're going to pick it up on page 4. This is, again, a book from Brother Bowie and the Israel of God. A great book, one of the best books I've ever read. And I like to read. This is one of the best books I've ever read. We're going to break down some of this history. I'm going to read some. I might pass it to you, but I'm going to just start it off. It says, the lion represents Babylon from Nebuchadnezzar to Belteshazzar. So that's that lion we just read about with eagle's wings, right? Because he came to power pretty fast, but that's another lesson. The first beast was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Daniel 7:4. This was the Babylonian Empire. Babylon rose to world domination under King Nebuchadnezzar. That's in the Bible too. So we're not talking about made up fairy tales. It's not Dragon Ball Z that we read about in the Bible. It's not a comic book, brothers and sisters. It's not anime. It's not made up. It's real life. It's real history. You can fact check this. Actually, this quote comes from the Grolier Encyclopedia. Rose to world domination under King Nebuchadnezzar in 605 to 562 BC. Go fact check it. In Daniel 2:37-38, Nebuchadnezzar was told in verse 37, "Thou, O king, art the king of kings, for the God of the heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory." Verse 38. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thine hand. So that's why they got that power. It's crazy. Because ultimately God running the show. But we saw Satan gave him this seat, power, and great authority. Right? Because the Lord gave Satan that autonomy to rule on the earth. Because mankind sinned. That's why Isaiah 24 tells you that the earth is under a curse. Because they transgress the covenant, brothers and sisters. So because sin entered into the world, God is actually using Satan. Most people think it's good versus evil, right? Like even in the cartoons, they got the little good angel and a bad demon on your shoulders, which is kind of true. You do have that. But that fight is between man, and our flesh and trying to obey God versus obeying Satan. It's not a fight with God and Satan, brothers and sisters. Don't get it twisted. Because God tell you he create evil and good. He run it all. He's the real boss of the show. So just want you to understand that. It says, after the death of Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, his son, took over. Fact check it. However, his rule was short-lived because he failed to acknowledge God. So, remember the writing on the wall? Yep. That was with him. That's real talk. That's where the writing on the wall came from. That's the origins of it. Everything go back to the book. Everything go back to the book. Me and Brother Elijah and Sister Tamar always be playing on Facebook saying the origins of. Like, where did the origins of this word or this saying came from? A lot of times, if you pay attention, you'll find that it came from the Bible, brothers and sisters. Because this is it. This is the word. People say word in New York. They be like, word. Well, that's it right here. Word. Straight up, right? Straight up and down like that. After the death of Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, his son, took over. However, his rule was short-lived because he failed to acknowledge God. So Belshazzar was killed. He was succeeded by Darius the Median. See Daniel the 6th chapter. That was the end of the Babylonian Empire and the beginning of the Mede and the Persian Empire, which brings us to the second beast. We read about this. This should be fresh in our mind. The bear represented the Medo-Persian from Darius the Mede to Darius the Third, the Persian. It's like Pharaoh. They had the title Darius. Just like you got the title Pharaoh for different pharaohs. Well, so that's the same thing with these guys. Darius the Mede, and then you had Darius the Third, the Persian. That's who it ended with. And you got the pictures right here just so you can see his great artwork in the book as well. You should really cop this book if you can. It says the second beast was like a bear with 3 ribs in his mouth. See Daniel the 7th chapter. The beast represents the Medo-Persian Empire. Its first king, Darius the Mede, inherited the Babylonian kingdom at age 62, but did little to strengthen it and was ignored by history. Darius the Mede is not to be confused with the Darius that came along later in history. They were all Persians and adopted the name as a title. That's what I was saying about the Pharaoh thing. Because of a lack of history on Darius the Mede, we must advance to 12 years later in history to pick up Cyrus the Persian. Thus, the Median Empire became the Medo-Persian Empire. The Bible even shows the apparent weakness of Darius because the horn that represents him and his people, the Medes, was shorter than the Persians' horn. It also revealed the duality of this empire by revealing it even as another beast, a ram with two horns. One represented Media and the other horn represented Persia. That's in Daniel 8, I believe. In Daniel 8 and 3, Daniel said two horns were high, but one was higher than the other. So now this is a completely different beast, but it's still representing the Medo-Persian Empire. And we're going to see God foretold. If you read Daniel 8, you'll see that. He tells you that it's the Medo-Persian Empire, and he tells you that that goat was Greece. This is before it happened. This was during the Babylonian Empire. So how did he know that? Because it's God, brothers and sisters, and God told the end from the beginning. It says in Daniel 8 and 3, Daniel said the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher one came up last. This last horn represented the Persians, and Cyrus was a Persian who took over the kingdom and reigned from 550 BC to 530 BC. Fact check it. Cyrus controlled the kingdom after putting down many revolts, and as king of the universe, proclaimed peace for all. See, that's what they all think. They all think they're king of the universe. They all call themselves the king of the world, king of Babylon. All of them did. But Cyrus was a good dude. He was cool. He was later killed while putting down another revolt on the eastern border of the kingdom. After the death of Cyrus, there came three kings who surnamed themselves Darius the first, Darius the second, and Darius the third. Even though a few Persian kings ruled under other names, there was a Darius ruling when Alexander the Great assaulted and took the kingdom in 334 BC. This is prophesied. That battle was prophesied in Daniel 8, brothers and sisters. This is how we know that this is the God of the world. The God of Israel is the only God. All the other gods of the nations are idols. And that's book. We can read that. This classic battle was even foretold by the prophet Daniel in the book of Daniel 8. In the book of Daniel, chapter 8, verses 4 through 8 and 20 through 22. I'm going to read it because that's what we came here to do. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will and became great. Verse 5. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat. So remember, you had that ram with two horns, and against that ram with two horns, you got a he-goat. This is just another description for these kingdoms, brothers and sisters. So where was I? Hold on one second. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat, thank you, came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. Because that's why that leopard had those wings too. You know, because that's a fast animal, right? That's how quick Alexander the Great came on the scene. Okay? That's that Greek Empire, brothers and sisters. That's what this goat is representing. We're going to see that. So just bear with me. I'm going to read verse 5 again. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west. He even got the geography on point. On the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. You see, Greece was in the west because Rome came right after that and adopted that same, You know, so that's why we even call it the West today. That Western civilization, that started with Rome. But Rome came from Greece. You see what I'm saying? So it's all in the book, brothers and sisters. It said that he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Verse 6. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen, standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. Verse 7. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he moved with choler against him. That's anger, brothers and sisters. Choler is anger. And smote the ram and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast down to the ground and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. What does that mean? That means, nobody could save you from the goat. That means the goat took over. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. We saw with that leopard, it had 4 heads. That's how we know that leopard represented the Greek Empire, brothers and sisters. This goat is the same beast, the same kingdom. Because remember, a beast is a kingdom, right? The same empire. We're talking about Greece right now. And if you didn't know, God is going to tell you. It says, verse 8 again. Just pay attention. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones towards the 4 winds of heaven. Verse 20. The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia, brothers and sisters. This is Daniel. He found this out before the kingdom came on the scene. That's prophecy from God. He told you who it was. God even called Cyrus before he was born. Named him. Josiah named him before he was born. Only God can do that. It says, the ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia. Verse 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, brothers and sisters. That was Alexander the Great. He told you it was the king of Greece. And that great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of that nation, but not in his power. And that was Alexander the Great's 4 generals that came up after him. It says, I'm going to keep reading, brothers and sisters. Stay with me. Stay tuned. It says, as we mentioned earlier, the Medo-Persian Empire was also shown as a ram with 2 horns to show it was ruled by kings of 2 different nations. That's why it's called the Medo-Persian. That's what the 2 horns represented. See, God does symbolism, but his symbolism is not in vain. God is not a vain God. He's showing you stuff. He wants you to be knowledgeable. But to understand this, you can't go to Sunday church. You got to come here because God said salvation is of the Jews, brothers and sisters. You got to go to the people who know who they are and are obeying God's commandments. Baptizing in the name of Jesus. Having the faith of God and the fruits of the Spirit. Showing love and mercy, brothers and sisters. If they're not doing that, they not the church. That's another false church. And they're not going to show you this. Alright? The ram was assaulted by the goat with 1 horn. Now that 1 horn was Alexander the Great, that first king, right? That great king. This ram was assaulted by the goat with the 1 horn between its eyes. This goat represented the Greeks, and the 1 horn represented Alexander the Great. After Alexander had defeated Medo-Persia and later Egypt and all other rebellious people, the world was under his rulership. But Alexander died in 323 BC at a young age. Those 4 generals that came up represented the 4 horns that rose up out of the head of the goat after the 1 horn had been broken. This broken horn represented Alexander's death. The defeat of the ram with 2 horns marked the end of the Medo-Persian Empire. The 4 heads on the leopard and the 4 horns that rose up on the head of the goat are the same kings. These 4 generals became kings. They were Lysimachus, Ptolemy, Cassander, and Seleucus, or however you want to say his name. After efforts failed by each king to overthrow the other, they all settled down and ruled the Greek Empire. In their separate regions, the empire was one, just as the leopard was one with 4 heads. Right. Come on, brothers and sisters. Now, this is the last part from this book. And if you were wondering, the Greek Empire was from 432 BC to 146 BC. Fact check it. Go fact check those 4 generals, Ptolemy, Seleucus, Lysimachus, and Cassander. Check them out. Fact check it. Don't just believe what we saying. This is the last paragraph, and we done. So now we should know that God called this history accurately, because God can't lie. These 4 kings were not able to maintain this forced peace that was agreed upon, because each wanted to rule the entire empire and began to war among themselves. That's usually how empires topple, right? Because they implode. They usually implode from within, brothers and sisters. That's usually how it happens. They destroy themselves, just like America's destroying itself. Look at the man, it's not even news that they have on TV. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's a game. It's a show. Our president was a reality TV show host and presenter. It's a game, brothers and sisters. They implode from the inside usually. Look at the poor education system in this country. What do you think that's ultimately going to lead to? Just printing and creating money out of thin air. The Federal Reserve. What do you think that's going to lead to? Look at the food. And not to mention, praise God that these pork factories and Tyson's and Smithfields and, they shutting down and they saying no pork's going to be on the shelf. Well, we don't need to be eating pork anyway. God said that's abominable. It's not even food. Right. It's an abomination. That's not food. That's not meant to be consumed, brothers and sisters. But when you keep pumping this poor food, it's not even food. The fake food from the GMO crops. What do you think is eventually going to happen? Brothers and sisters, that's how, empires usually topple from within. All these lies, all this bloodshed in this country. You think God's just cool with that? Nah. He said he's angry with the wicked every day.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway, it says, eventually the kingdom was severely fragmented. 2 kings were eliminated. Cassander died in 297 BC, and Lysimachus died in 281 BC, after he was defeated by Seleucus. And the kings were down to 2. The king of the north, Seleucus, whose descendants were defeated by Rome, and the king of the south, Ptolemy, whose descendants were also defeated by Rome. So go figure, right? Those who win the war, they take over. That's why this is the mob, which at the time was Syria and Egypt. That's where the king of the south, that's where Ptolemy was reigning. Syria and Egypt, right? Because of constant battles between the two, the rest of the kingdom was left to mind itself, thus leaving room for another people to grow into power. These were the people of the peninsula, which later became Italy, brothers and sisters. Out of which grew Rome, our 4th and most fierce beast, mentioned in the 7th chapter of Daniel. So terrible was this state that Daniel had no beast in the creation with which to compare or identify it. Therefore, Daniel just called it a dreadful and terrible beast. It's the 4 winds of heaven. We just securing this idea of who the beast is, showing that it's Rome, brothers and sisters. Because that's the last beast to rule. It's only 4 that we read about. It wasn't nothing after Rome, brothers and sisters. So we know who we talking about in Revelation 13 and Revelation 17. And guess what? We found out that the Catholics know. The leaders know. The cardinals know. At the top. Right? Because you can have some cardinals that's not aware. And you can have others on higher degrees that know. Right? It's levels to it. So, These cardinals that put together the Douay-Rheims Jesuit Bible knew that. So they not lying. They know who they are. That's why they say hidden in plain sight. That's what they do. That's their MO. So now let's go back to the book. I know my brother want to read again. Revelation 17. He been waiting. Yeah, not breathe again. Read again. Bars. Fun bars. All right, Revelation 17. 1 through 5. Let's get it.
And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither. I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters.
The judgment of the great whore which sitteth upon many waters. Keep going.
With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
Look, brothers and sisters, this is detailing how this beast was so terrible and great. Because, and this is what I was talking about even Tupac not being in nobody's church, a Black Panther still deceived in the world by this great and terrible beast who's warped the world with mind control. That's how they kept their power since they fell after 476 AD. They've used mind control, brothers and sisters. And this is what it's showing. This is how it's done. It's done like this. Even history, we're going to see some history even knows how they kept going. It says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So they pulled political intrigue. Those are the kings of the earth. That's why the kings got to go down and bow to them. They found out a way to manage their power in their favor, so the kings are forced to deal with them, brothers and sisters, because their great authority and seat comes from Satan. And Satan run the world because God let him. That's why Satan even wanted to give the whole kingdom and the whole world to Jesus. He said, if you bow down to me. So you can sell your soul.
Yes, sir.
You can sell your soul for sure. And that's why the Lord was like, look, man, you know, what is it if a man gain the whole world but lose his soul? So come on. So there you go. You want to know where the origins came from? Right here. Selling your soul to the devil didn't start with the music industry. That's right. It didn't start with what's his name? Tommy Mottola. Mm-hmm. You know that Michael Jackson video was like, Tommy Mottola's the devil.
Right.
He said that, right? Yeah. But hey, it could be. He could be. You know what I'm saying? You know, they even got those songs. I bring out the Savannah Buzz, the Dr. Buzz's Savannah Band, and bring out songs where they sang about Tommy Mottola. What y'all know about that? That's where Wu-Tang got it from. Tommy Mottola. All right, but anyway, y'all know about that. Now y'all know about that. Y'all know about that. Y'all know about that. We in Philly, baby. All right, so let's keep it going. Where you at?
Verse 3.
So he did what?
So he carried me away in the spirit unto the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Oh, so it got 7 heads and 10 horns, brothers and sisters. If you paid attention to Revelation 13 and verse 1 and 2 and 3, when we broke down, it had all those, if you were paying attention, it had all those characteristics of the beast that we read about in Daniel 7. Right? And that's why I said it had 7 heads. Right? But keep going.
And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color.
Oh, scarlet and purple, huh? Does that ring a bell? Brother Chris, I believe, broke it down in the lesson, and he showed how that's the cardinals, brothers and sisters. It's the cardinals, and what's the other ones? You got the cardinals and the bishops. The cardinals and the bishops. Scarlet, purple, and red, brothers and sisters. Scarlet and purple. We ain't talking about Scarlett Johansson. This is talking about the color red, which is represented by these popes and these cardinals and these bishops, showing who they are, showing their hand. Because even when they think they slick, even though they ruling the whole world, even though they great and terrible beasts, God still called it. I don't know why they think they slick. God already called it, bruh. We know how this thing gonna end. Y'all not gonna win. You know, because you know they listening, right?
Yeah, they listening.
You know they listening, right?
Yeah.
You know they listening on your phones. They listening on your iPads, on your TVs. They know what's up. They know what's up. Sometimes I'll be feeling like it's Goodfellas in the chopper. I'm looking at the chopper follow me. I'm like, yo, I ain't even playing. But it's all good. We know, y'all should know that we gonna win. Y'all should know that.
Absolutely. That's right. Absolutely.
We read the end of the book. God told the end from the beginning. Israel wins. God wins.
That's right.
But anyway, you'll see. Just keep living. Keep going.
And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color.
That's verse 4, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
And decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand.
Oh, decked with precious stones and pearls. This is the richest organization on the planet of the earth.
Yeah, it is.
Look it up. Fact check it. Read a book by Avro Manhattan called The Vatican Billions. That's money. That's dope. That's why they call the shots. That's the mob. Again. Keep reading.
Having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
Look at that. A golden cup with, you would think that it's this wine of goodness, right? But nah, brothers and sisters, it looks all great. They dress it up to be this great organization, great churches, great estates, great wealth. But they giving you false doctrine directly from Satan, brothers and sisters. It says that cup, it said the cup in her hand full of abominations. It was full of abominations and filthiness. Saying that you can pray over pork and shellfish, that's an abomination, brothers and sisters.
Yes,
Saying two people of the same sex can get married, that's an abomination. Changing God's Sabbath to Sunday, that's an abomination. Easter, Christmas, Lent, Ash Wednesday, abomination. We gonna see it. We gonna see it, brothers and sisters. This is what the whole world believes. Think you going up to heaven? That came from Satan's mind. He wanted to be like the Most High and ascend himself. We gonna see it. That come from Satan. That's an abomination. So Pac wondering if heaven got a ghetto. Nah, bruh. You should have been wondering if there was gonna be a ghetto when the kingdom come down. Because that's what's happening. You ain't going up.
That's right.
Verse 5, bro.
And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon.
Oh, Mystery Babylon the Great. Go ahead.
The mother of harlots.
The mother of thoughts. The mother of hoes. That's what this is saying. The mother of harlots. Harlot just comes from whore, and hoe is just a shortened word from whore, brothers and sisters. I ain't cussing. The mother of harlots. That's the language God uses.
That's right.
God uses some strong language.
Yeah.
The Lord keep it $1.50 for all that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. Dang, we not in New York. We in New York. It's like, nah. Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. They polluted the world with this false doctrine. Now guess where we going back again, brothers and sisters? Just guess. We going back to the same commentary. Because I'm going to show you how devilish these people are. We just read verse 5, right?
Yes.
You still there?
Yeah.
Can you read verse 5 one more time, my brother?
And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
Of the earth. The world, Craig. So now, listen to what the commentary says. These are the Catholics. This is what it says. This is their commentary. NewAdvent.org, Catholic Encyclopedia, Douay Rhymes Bible. The commentary says for verse 5, a mystery. What's that? That is a secret because what follows of the name and the title of the great harlot is to be taken in a mystical sense. Well, we know that word mystical, we ain't talking about the rapper, but that word mystical is what the traditions and the paganism, right? And the evil spiritual seduction. Did somebody say seduction? Okay. But seductions, that's what that comes from, brothers and sisters. The mystical Christ, the mystical, Passover that they take, they say that they're, taking the body of Christ. right? They call it the Passover, but that's not the true Passover. The true Passover, you don't do what they do, right? You take the Passover on the 14th day of the first moon, brothers and sisters, of the new year, right? So the month Abib, or the springtime, that 14th day, brothers and sisters, that's when you take the Passover. And that Passover represents Jesus, brothers and sisters. His blood that's able to save our souls if we have faith in it. So, it says, that's what they say is a mystery. Verse 5, also it says, what is Babylon? They're going to explain what Babylon is. Either the city of the devil in general, or if this place be to be understood of any particular city, pagan Rome, which then and for 300 years persecuted the church and was the principal seat both of empire and idolatry. So they know that Babylon in today's modern context is referred to as the Roman Empire today, brothers and sisters. They know that. But we know that too, because we breaking it down for you. We showing you that. So now let's go to another reference. Another book, another great book. It's like a follow-up to The Four Winds of Heaven. Brother Elisha is a great author. Brother Elisha J. Israel from Israel Teach, Household of Faith. It's a great book. We're going to read from pages 45 to 49. And this book is called For Then Shall Be Great Tribulation. You should definitely cop this one as well. That brother got about 6 books, and they're all excellent. So, pages 45. I'm going to read this. It says, the rise of the fourth beast. That's what we talking about, right? Mm-hmm. So, Morgan Freeman, bruh, just holler at us when you ready, if you really want to know. You want to know about God, we got the oracles. The rise of the fourth beast. You didn't have to go to Rome for all that. But you was in the right place, though. That's who it is. That's crazy. That shows you the seduction of Rome. It be right under your nose and you don't know it. Come on, man. It's time to get this knowledge. So this is what it says, brothers and sisters. The book of Daniel chronicles the prophecies concerning the last 4 Gentile or European kingdoms that will emerge prior to Christ's second coming. In the 2nd chapter of Daniel, the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar has a dream that only Daniel could interpret. In this dream, Nebuchadnezzar envisions a great statue made of various elements. Y'all remember that? Okay. This effigy's head is made of fine gold. He's talking about the image. The image's head is made of fine gold. The breast and arms of silver. The belly and thighs of brass. And the legs of iron. And the feet of iron mixed with miry clay. This statue represents the following world empires in succession. Well, we already know. But it's Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire, the Greek Empire, and the Roman Empire. So there go another witness, right? Out of the mouth of 2, right? Notably, the Roman Empire was diverse from the 3 empires that preceded it because it ruled the minds of many of the earth's inhabitants via religion. We're not making this stuff up, brothers and sisters. Just think about all those Tupac songs I told you about. It ain't a joke. Even a lot of us, we weren't in nobody's church, and we still did Christmas. We still thought we was going up to heaven. A lot of us still thought Jesus was white. That all came from this abominable system that's anti-God. So you got to throw all of that away. It's not hate for any group of people. It's not none of that. We want all to repent and return to the Lord, but we just know that that's not how things going to end, because we got the answers from God, and that's not how it ends. It ends with war, and it ends with only a few getting salvation, because most want to continue to follow after the beast, wander after the beast, or the evil thoughts in their own mind. That's what most people on. So it says concerning Rome, We read about the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. John went to write that, quote, the kings of earth have committed fornication, which is spiritual fornication, right. And the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. That's why, you can't even do processions and stuff for funerals on Sunday and stuff like that. Because that's in most states, because that's supposed to be the day of rest that Constantine said from the Roman Catholic Church. They still have that in legislation, brothers and sisters, to this day. Banks being closed on Sundays. Where you think that came from? Right? That all came from Rome. That's how the kings of the earth went into bed with the Roman Catholic Church, with the beast. And then they passed those laws, and the cities and the states got to abide by it, brothers and sisters. The same with, that's why Christmas and Easter is on your civil calendar. Because they're in bed spiritually, committing fornication with the beast. And when you commit fornication, you actually becoming one. So that doctrine coming from the beast, which is coming from Satan, is being adopted through all the nations because of Rome, brothers and sisters, and their power and their great authority. That's how this stuff works. That's how it works, brothers and sisters. It says this wine represents the false doctrine. Actually, let me go back. It says John went to write, the kings of earth have committed fornication, which is spiritual, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. This wine represents the false doctrine of Roman Catholicism that has permeated all of Christianity. That means it's ubiquitous, brothers and sisters. It's everywhere. Permeated. And you know what's crazy? What does Catholic mean? Universal. Everywhere. Permeated, brothers and sisters. That's why they got the power. It says this wine represents the false doctrine of Roman Catholicism that has permeated all of Christianity and undoubtedly has influenced the entire world. Undoubtedly, when one removes the veneer of the version of Christianity, that's the face, perpetuated by Roman Catholicism, we find underneath that Roman Catholicism is unequivocally, it means there's no debate, a continuation of the ancient pagan Babylonian spiritual system. We just saw that the abominations of the earth, the mother of harlots, mystery Babylon. We just saw that, brothers and sisters. That's what we explaining to you right now. Okay? It says, consequently, written on this whore's Roman church's forehead were the following words: Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. We just read it. It says various Christian theologians have even argued that Rome and Babylon are synonymous. Well, guess what? I just went to the horse's mouth. We're going to have another source to verify that. For instance, in his pivotal work, Faith of Our Fathers, Cardinal Gibbons stated that Babylon, from which Peter addresses his first epistle, is understood by learned annotators, Protestant and Catholic, to refer to Rome. That came from the cardinal of the Catholic Church. It says the word Babylon being symbolical of the corruption then prevailing in the city of the Caesars. That's a direct quote. Revelation 17 also provides us with the geographical identification of Mystery Babylon. That's how we know it's ironclad. You can't get around this. If you thought we were just making it up, well, guess what? We got more proof. Concrete proof. Irrefutable proof. Conclusive proof. Verse 9 reads, and here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. So we know that this woman, this great religion, this great whore, this great kingdom sits on 7 hills, brothers and sisters, 7 mountains. It is no coincidence that Rome is built upon 7 hills or mountains, brothers and sisters. Everybody know that. The 7 hills in Rome. Fact check it.
That's it.
Yeah. Number 1, Aventine Hill. Number 2, I might not say all these right. Salian Hill. Number 3, Capitoline Hill, which where in DC, in the neighborhood that I live in, is actually called Little Rome. And we got the Capitol. That's where they got it from. All the infrastructure, all the fascias, which are symbols of Roman power that you see in Congress and you see on the Mercury dimes and you see on some seals in some states, I think in Colorado. They got that symbol of fascism, which is a symbol of Roman authority, even in the U.S. So we know that the U.S. ain't Babylon. Rome is Babylon. They telling you they Babylon. We bearing it out. The scripture's bearing it out. Why would you believe otherwise? If you believe it's America, they fooled you too. Because like my teacher liked to say, America is just a leaf on the tree of Rome. Yeah, Brother Elijah got bars for days. Capitoline Hill, Esquiline Hill. That's number 4. Palatine Hill, number 5. Quirinal Hill. Something like that. That's number 6. And Viminal Hill is number 7, brothers and sisters. So those the 7 hills of Rome. Deuteronomy 1. Praise God. Deuteronomy 1. This is something that we really need to understand. Deuteronomy 1. Because like I said, brothers and sisters, Satan wants to be like the Most High. So actually, when you try to figure out, well, where does Satan come up with these ideas? If he's giving them their power to seek their great authority, how is he doing it? Where is he getting the ideas from? Well, let me tell you something. Satan think he's slick, but he's not. All he does is flip the word of God, brothers and sisters. Let's give some examples. Think about it. In the Lord's Prayer, we read what we read in the Lord's Prayer. How I go? Our Father what? Which art in heaven what? Hallowed be thy name. What else? And thy what?
Will be done.
Where?
In
earth. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is where? In heaven. So we not going up. Sorry, rest in peace, Pac. You know, we not going up, and heaven don't got a ghetto. Heaven is just right now in the heavens, where the third heaven, where the Father, Son, and the angels are, brothers and sisters. That ain't no ghetto. That's a palace. And that kingdom is coming down. That's why the Lord got many mansions. He's preparing that new body. A new tabernacle, I should say. That's your mansion. He coming down to bring that. Because thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. On earth, brothers and sisters. The kingdom is coming down. That's why we read Revelation 21. I saw New Jerusalem coming down, brothers and sisters. Descending down. We not going there. So look, Satan just flipped it. That's a complete opposite. A complete 180, brothers and sisters. He flipped it. Think about it. Here's another example. The Sabbath day. That's the 7th day of the week. All Satan did was change it from the very end to the very first. Complete 180. Up and down. God says down, Satan says up. God says right, Satan says left. Think about that. So now, I'm trying to show you, I keep thinking I'm kicking them. I'm going to show you, brothers and sisters, even this idea of the mark of the beast. I'm going to show you where the first and the true mark actually came from. Let's read Deuteronomy chapter, I didn't put it on there. Oh, that's my bad. That's my bad. Deuteronomy 6, I believe. I was up for a long time. Deuteronomy 6, I believe. Yeah, I've been up since 1, man, in the morning. Crazy. Yeah.
6, 1 through 8.
1 through 8. Is that
let me make sure. Yup. Praise God. Daniel, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 1. Go ahead.
Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and judgments which the Lord your God commanded you to teach you.
This is why this beast mob system is anti-Christ, because they've done away with the most important thing to get understanding, even to get life, brothers and sisters. They've done away with that. They've trashed that. Again, an opposite magic trick. God says keep them. Satan says do the opposite, which is they've been done away with. Jesus said, don't even think that I came to do away with it. He said, I didn't come to destroy but to fulfill. But let them tell it he came to do away with it. Well, who you going to believe? Honestly. Let's go. It said, now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments, which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it. It's always about land. Verse 2.
That thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments.
This is what Israel is, and the world, brothers and sisters, the world, Craig, is demanded by God to do. Fear God and keep his commandments, brothers and sisters. That's the whole duty of man. The wisest man to ever live was an Israelite, King Solomon, and he told you that in Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. But all he was doing was reiterating what God already gave to his people and what God told him to do. Because the only way to be wise, you want to be wise, don't try to be like Mike. Try to be like the Lord.
That's right.
That's how you get wise. That's how you have wisdom, brothers and sisters. Be like, follow your pops. Follow your dad. Like Wayne was saying, stunting like my daddy. Well, look, the Lord is our Father. Follow him. Jesus is the Father that created the world. Follow him. Stunt like him. I'm trying to stunt like him. Not like baby. And not the baby and little baby. None of them. You know what I'm saying? Because all them cats rock ice and iced out crosses, iced out Jesus pieces. Where you think that came from? The Roman Catholic Church. Again, the mob. You just following the mob. And you telling the mob, I'm down with you. That's a fashion statement. That's a symbol. You think it's a fashion statement. You think you serving God the whole time. You really know it's a fashion statement because you know you're not following the Bible. I was there. I was in it. We all was before we came into the Word. We was all in the world following Rome. I used to wear rosaries and all that because it looked cool. It did. You know, but it wasn't cool. It was far from cool. And it will land you in a far from cool place, which is the lake of fire, if you keep doing it, brothers and sisters. That thou mightest fear the Lord. Verse 2. Go ahead, bro.
That thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, and to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son and thy son's son, all the days of thy life. And that thy days may be prolonged.
That's how you do it. See, the sons of the Gentile dynasties was going to have the power from Satan. But our sons were supposed to follow God and ultimately become a son of God, brothers and sisters. That's what we supposed to be on. But keep reading.
Hear, therefore, O Israel.
Hear, therefore, O Israel. Keep going.
And observe to do it, that it may be well with thee.
That it may be well. So you got to hear. That's the first thing you got to do. This is the opposite of what we read in the Sunday church. Of what they practice, what they teach, what they believe. This is the opposite, brothers and sisters. This is how you do it. This is how you become part of the true church. Praise God. He put it all in this one little chapter like this to show, brothers and sisters. See, because you got to have the mindset to serve God in spirit and in truth. That's how you will make sure you won't succumb to the mark of the beast. Because the mark, yeah, is physical, but it starts in your mind. And if you don't want to be marked by Satan now, you need to turn to God and let God mark you spiritually. So you know and he knows that you follow God and you trust and you have faith in him. Absolutely. Keep reading.
And that ye may increase mightily, as the Lord God of thy fathers hath promised thee.
See, the promised land came from the promise from God, brothers and sisters. The promise of eternal life is a promise from God, but you got to follow him to get it. He's the one giving it to you, so you have to follow him. You can't follow the Pope, because the Pope don't got a lake of fire to put you in. He don't got a kingdom to put you in. Your mama and your daddy, your wife, you know, your baby mama, none of them have the power. So who you going to follow in this life, brothers and sisters? You need to hear the word of the Lord, fear God, and obey him. Because he got the power, the true power. He gave Satan his power, who gave the beast his power and his seat and his great authority. Understand how the chain of command work. Why would you go to the employee when you can go to the boss? But some of y'all think like employees. You don't think like bosses. I think Dame Dash even said that on the Breakfast Club. You know, it's physical and spiritual. It go hand in hand, brothers and sisters. You want to be a runner or you want to be the top capo? Who you going to roll with? I'm going to roll with the big dog. I'm going to roll with the Lord, the Most High. That's the highest of the high. He's at the top. You know, the police, when they looking for gangsters and they say, all right, who's at the top of their list? He's the head. Well, the Most High is the Lord, brothers and sisters. He's at the top of the list. That's the one you should serve. You should ride or die for him. Not your fake friends showing fake love. And don't even know what true love is because they don't even know the Bible. This life has been, our whole lives, we've been lied to about what good is, what right is. And that causes us to have pain because we make the wrong decisions because we destroy for lack of knowledge. End up in the wrong relationships. End up in bad relationships with people you know. Bad relationships with family. Making wrong decisions in life, period. Because we don't have this knowledge of God. Destroyed for lack of knowledge. And that's not just Israel, that's the whole world. So follow the top if you want to get it right. If you want to have a clear mind, follow God. Commit your works to him and all your thoughts will be established. Proverbs 16:3. Verse 4. Hear, O what?
Hear, O Israel, the Lord, our God is one Lord.
Right. Verse 5.
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might.
That's what we got to do, brothers and sisters. That's what the New Testament is telling us. To love God with all our soul, all our might. How we going to do away with the commandments? That's not loving God with everything. If you're saying, I don't got to do all that, you're not loving God with all your heart then. God wants your all, brothers and sisters. He don't want a little bit of your love. He want all your love. That means you got to go all out. If you love your spouse, you go all out for them. If you're trying to show them that, right? That you love them. If you are on a mission to show them that, you go all out for them. That's what the Lord wants you to do. And that's a small thing. He sacrificed his whole life. He sacrificed being God for us. Why can't we give up eating pork and shrimp? That's a small thing to what the Lord did. You should be begging to want to give up whatever. Because you know how foul you were before you got understanding. You should be wanting to give that up quick. You shouldn't want to hold on to anything wicked that this beast system is making you think is cool. You know? Come on, brothers and sisters. It's time to sharpen and grow in this word. Become spiritually mature in this word, brothers and sisters. Because it's the only way to get life. So hit verse 5 from the top again.
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart.
Yeah.
And with all thy soul.
All your heart and all your soul. Keep going.
And with all thy might.
All your might. You got to go hard for God, brothers and sisters. Like my man that said, Jesus Christ. You got to go hard for God. The man was doing the robot and everything. Like, he went hard for God. That's how you got to go. But you got to do it right and keep the commandments. You can't just say it.
That's right.
Lord ain't in the lip service. Keep reading.
And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart.
These words that I command thee, that's what Brother Chris broke down. The Spirit being the word of God, brothers and sisters, which comes from God. It didn't come from Moses. God gave it to him. Just like God gave Daniel the revelations. It all goes back to God, not us. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart. Verse 7.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
Diligently. You cannot take no days off with this. You meditate day and night. Your kids, day and night. You know, they be doing, I know you doing school from home now, but hey, when they in school, they not with you reading the Bible. Parents. When they come home, you let the TV babysit them. They not learning about God. You know, and as they get older, they leave the house. They want to go outside and play. They want to be on the phone. When are you spending time with your children and teaching them about God's commandments? If they doing all that, you letting the system do it. You letting TV, which is controlled by Rome and the Masons and the Jesuits, you know, and they in cahoots with the Edomites, the false Jews, right? And all they doing is pumping out garbage. And you letting your kids, when are you having the time to do this? It can't be one day out the week, because every day of the, all the other days in the week, they're being attacked by Babylon. Bombarded continuously. Now they all think it's okay to be gay. All the kids think that now. All of them. Because of Babylon and the abominations of the earth. This is the answer right here, brothers and sisters. This little chapter is the whole answer to the world and to Israel's problems. Because we know why kids got problems. Right? That's why they most likely to be destroyed. On a fast track to prison. Right? It starts with this. This is how we get back to God. It says, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. And shall do what, bro?
And shall talk of them when thou sittest in thine house.
Right. Don't just let them go into their room. You sit down and you talk with them. Ask them how they doing. Show them the word. Apply the word to what they go through in life. Show them that. But you got to be on your P's and Q's to do that, brothers and sisters. You got to serve God first. Keep going.
And when thou walkest by the way.
Wow, all the time. So that means even if you at work, you walking by the way. You know what I'm saying? You're not even with them. Or you doing something random that's not, sitting down with them. You walking by the way. You doing something else. You could be at work though. And you why don't you just check on your child to see how they doing? Why don't you send them a verse? Keep going.
And when thou liest down.
When you lies down. So the first thing they do when they wake up and the last thing they do, they got to have God on their mind. That's the only way to overcome the mob, brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. You have to have God on your mind all the time. Sound like a rhyme from 1999. It's like, nah. Okay, so keep going, bro.
And when thou risest up, and thou shalt bind.
All right, so listen. This is what we came here for. And thou shalt do what?
And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand.
A sign upon thy hand. Keep going.
And they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes.
Oh, wait a minute. If I'm not mistaken, that sounds real similar to the mark of the beast on your right hand and in your forehead, brothers and sisters. You know your forehead is right between your eyes, right? Mm-hmm. Think about it, brothers and sisters. Just think about it. Isaiah 14. Isaiah 14. Satan don't come up with nothing new. He manipulates and destroys God's pure word. He can't do away with the Bible because God said his words are forever. They're eternal. Right? But what he'll do is manipulate it and twist the scriptures. And that's why even the mark comes from God. The true mark. The false mark comes from the devil. Isaiah 14. When you get there, bro, pick it up at verse 12.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
Oh, Lucifer. So that's what we talking to. That's what we talking about. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Keep going.
Son of the morning.
Right.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?
Yeah, he weakened the nations. We saw how he weakened the nations. We read about that in Revelation 17. Go ahead.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven.
Oh, I will do what?
I will exalt my throne above the stars.
I will ascend into heaven. I will ascend into heaven, brothers and sisters. So Satan is the only one in the Bible with understanding, right? All the people in the Bible with understanding knew God's kingdom was coming. Satan is the only one who said he wanted to go up. So when you say you wonder if heaven got a ghetto, and you saying you want to be in heaven, or you trying to put your grandparents in heaven, or everybody that died from COVID-19 in heaven, brothers and sisters, what you're really doing is following and perpetuating these lies and the desires of Satan. And the desire of Satan is to get you cut off. So who you going to follow? We just read the Lord's kingdom. We know the Lord's kingdom. If you come to our church, we start and end with the Lord's kingdom. You know, the Lord's prayer, which shows you about the Lord's kingdom. We start and end with the Lord's prayer. It's right there. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe the lies. Don't believe the mob, brothers and sisters. Believe the true word of God. It's that simple. Verse 13. Read it from the top.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
Oh, you want to be better and even higher than God. That's the unmitigated gall of Satan. Keep going.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
Man, it kind of sounds like Santa Claus too. The North Pole. You know, but never mind. Keep going.
I will be like the Most High.
I will be like the Most High. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. So he's trying to be like the Most High. I showed you, I gave you a few examples, right? Even with the dietary law, God said, don't eat pork, shellfish, crab, oysters, mussels, all that stuff, right? Catfish. Don't eat none of that, right? Shrimp, lobster, crab sticks, none of that, right? What Satan tell you, what the church tell you, all you got to do is pray over it. Complete opposite, right? Lies from hell. But even with this mark of the beast, he's trying to be like the Most High in a sense, brothers and sisters. And that's why he's trying to get you to worship him. Because we know we're supposed to worship God. He wants to be like the Most High. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Finish it out.
Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell.
Oh, that's going to really be your end, though. And that's what the mob think. They think they're going to reign forever, rule forever, even name themselves after, and name the streets after themselves. Because they think that in their mind, like we read in Psalm, that they're going to just live forever. Eternal. That's what they think. And that's what Satan got hit a warped mindset too. He think kind of like that, like he really going to make it. That's why they go so hard with their lies. They think they really going to get away with it. That's why the Pope goes so hard. Like he really look like he trying to do God's will, but he's really, really, really doing Satan's will. And he will front to the last breath. Because that's how warped his mind is, just like Satan. Satan really, really think he going to try to make it and win and beat God? That's not going to happen. That's why we know how these guys, they've given us mind control, but their minds have been controlled by Satan as well. That's why they try to put it on us. Right? 15, finish it out.
Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
To the sides of the pit. And if you take the mark of the beast, that's exactly where you're going to end up too. So now, where we at? Daniel 3. We almost done. Daniel 3. All right, I want you to breeze through this, though. Daniel 3, we're going to read it quick, bro. Let's pick it up. Daniel 3. See, now what I'm going to show you, brothers and sisters, we're going to read about the mark of the beast after this. We're going to go back to Revelation 13 where you can read about the mark of the beast. But I'm going to show you that this is nothing new. It all goes back to Babylon. It's called Mystery Babylon the Great for a reason. The new Rome or the new Babylon is Rome, brothers and sisters. But they not doing nothing new. Trust me. There's nothing new under the sun. And we're going to see that even the concept of the mark of the beast has already been implemented. It's already been done. It's already been in the works. We're going to show you that. Daniel 7, pick it up. Daniel 3, pick it up at verse 1, bro.
Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold, whose height was 70 cubits, and breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon.
In the province of Babylon. So we're going back to King Nebuchadnezzar. Ain't that crazy? The beginning of the Babylonian Empire. The beginning of the Gentile dynasty starts with King Nebuchadnezzar. We already established that today. So now we're going back to him because, see, if old Babylon did it, best believe there's nothing new under the sun. So the new Babylon going to do it too. So Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold, whose height was 70 cubits and breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Pick it up, bro.
Then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image of Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up.
That was excellent reading. Excellent reading. Thank you. So, the governors, the captains, the judges, everybody. Remember, that beast kingdom, this mob, has committed spiritual fornication with who? With the kings of the earth. Ain't nothing new under the sun. This is how it gets down. This is how it happens, brothers and sisters. When you the mob, you tell everybody else what to do. So don't even be concerned with the Jesuits, the Illuminati, the Freemasons. All of them work for the real big boss, which is Papa. All right? That's what Pope means. And we know that's a blasphemous title. As the Lord said it, he told you not to call no man father. Because your Father in heaven, he's your God. He's your Lord, your King. Not no man. No man can be your spiritual father. And they got the nerve to call him Holy Father. Come on. This is blasphemous, brothers and sisters. That's why I had those names of blasphemy. And this is nothing new under the sun. I can even show you some artwork. When I visited the British Museum, I actually even saw, that's in London, in Greater London. And when I was there, I saw the Assyrian kings and the Babylonian kings dressed up in the same garb as the popes, brothers and sisters. The same hats, the miters, the Dogon, fish head, mitre. All this stuff goes back to Babylon and serving false gods. You see the different types of crosses they have on their arms, their badges. All the symbols of sun worship, brothers and sisters. It don't got nothing to do with Christ. It got everything to do with that false white Jesus that came from Rome. It's just that simple. But anyway, he said the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. This is the dedication of it. Keep going. It ain't talking about Wayne's mixtape. Verse 3.
Then the princes, the governors and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, the rulers, the provinces were gathered together.
You see, that's everybody. Understand that this system has the control over everybody, brothers and sisters. It's going to be on a greater scale when the Roman Empire gets revived. Keep going.
Unto the dedication of the image of Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up.
Right. So Nebuchadnezzar set this up. Go ahead.
Then an herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages.
Oh, just like it's commanded, just like the government's commanding everybody to stay at home, they going to eventually command you to keep Sunday and take this mark of the beast or you're going to die. Eventually, brothers and sisters. That's why we know what we doing right now, even though it's a quarantine, even though it's a shutdown, we know God is controlling all things. So we're not going to stop. We're not going to listen to man when man is telling us to do something contrary to God's word, because that comes from the beast. That comes from Satan, brothers and sisters. You know, and you don't have an excuse to not keep the holy convocation, because as you can see, we doing it. Yeah. So you don't even have the excuse to do it. It's about what are you choosing to do and who are you going to follow at the end of the day. That's what it all goes down to. Keep reading.
That at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, post psaltery, dulcimer,
good,
and all kinds of music.
All kinds of music with a K. That's black. That's how black people do it, right? They put the K on it, right? Yeah. But anyway, keep going.
Ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And
so you got to bow down to this image that the king set up. Understand it. Keep reading.
And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fire.
Oh, so if you don't, it comes with some lethal consequences. It comes with your life. And that's how the Catholic Church, the new Babylon, has always got down, brothers and sisters. You don't do it their way, eventually they're going to kill you. Only thing is, they not enforcing that right now. But they about to. Best believe. Keep going.
Therefore, at that time, when the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up.
And listen to that. It says all the nations, brothers and sisters, and the languages fell down and worshiped the golden image. I told you, the Lord is the God that's running the show. But Satan wants to be like the Most High. So just how the Lord going to have all nations and all people ultimately confess and bow down to him, Satan throughout history has worked in the minds of men and it will be at its most heightened sense, you know, or it'll be at its climax when the Roman Empire is revived, and he's going to have all the people do the same thing, bow down to him, because Satan wants to be like the Most High. You follow? Let's go. Keep going.
Wherefore at that time, Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They
See, that's us, brothers and sisters. Those that striving to do God's will. Right? And under all circumstances, no matter what the man is saying, no matter what the government is saying. That's why we know this little stuff right here. You know, the shutdowns trying to stop people saying you shouldn't have a holy convocation. Bruh, these people have their life on the line. We're going to see what the true Jews going to do. Maybe you're not a true Jew. Maybe you need some true Jew faith, like the brothers we going to read about. If you don't think that, you know, you can serve God under any circumstance, brothers and sisters, and obey God rather than man, like it say in Acts 5.
That's right.
This is, I mean, their life was on the line.
Yes, sir.
You know, I mean, getting burnt in a furnace, getting tortured to death. This should be nothing. This should be easy, an easy decision. Because it's going to come a time where they're going to kill you again, brothers and sisters. And then what you going to do if you can't even handle this? Keep reading.
They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worship that, he should be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace.
So if you don't follow and worship this system, you're going to be killed by this system. Keep going.
There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over.
What verse you at?
12.
Okay, hold on. Go ahead.
There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon.
Uh-huh.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Right.
These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up.
So guess what? Best believe when it comes down to us trying to serve God, once the Roman Empire gets revived, because it so-called fell in 476 AD, once it gets revived, right, because it's the last kingdom to rule the earth. So when Jesus comes, this kingdom has to be ruling. So that's how we know that America has to decline. These economic crashes and woes and depressions ain't happening for no reason. That's why I always say, or I've been saying, that God is controlling COVID-19, because we know what has to happen. You want to say man made it? Nah, God made it. God did this to the earth, brothers and sisters. And this ain't, just keep living. It ain't nothing yet. Honestly, it's sad. Every time somebody dies or is sick or is hurt, it's sad. But we got to understand what God is doing. He's controlling. He killeth. He makes alive. He controls the evil and the good. So the wisest thing you can do is get knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of God during these times. Especially if you want to know what's to come. Because it's only going to get worse. You know, you better buckle in now. You know. We're low at. Hey, bro, you better be strapped in. You know, we got to be strapped in like New Jersey Twerk, because honestly, brothers and sisters, it's about to get a lot worse. So buckle your seatbelts. Keep reading.
Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake.
Alright, my bad. Let me cut you off real quick. So just understand, brothers and sisters, people tried to snitch on them back then. They're going to try to snitch on us. I just pay attention to everything we read. Keep going.
And said unto them, It is true. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up.
Now they watching us. They probably don't even need a physical snitch. They watching us with the cameras, with the phones. They gonna know. But they gonna know when somebody not getting down with their program. Don't think you're just gonna escape. You're not gonna escape. That's not the way it's set up. They watching everywhere. So you gotta go hard for God. You're gonna have to make a decision. Because they gonna know if you're not doing what they want you to do. And they gonna find you and they gonna kill you. And your family. You know, your children, your spouses, they gonna do that if you're not following them. But guess what? God has more power. And if you don't follow what he says, you're going to be cast in the lake of fire. So you got to weigh it. Which one is worth it, brothers and sisters? Keep going.
Now if ye be ready that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands?
That's crazy. So we see what it is. You see what the deal is. You don't follow them. You don't bow down. You don't worship their way. Then it's finito. Because that's what bosses do. That's what the mobs do. Keep reading.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this.
That's the
this matter.
faith. That's the Israelite faith that you need. You need the faith of Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, brothers and sisters. This is the real Jew faith.
That's right.
Brothers and sisters. You shouldn't even have to think about it. He's like, we're not careful to answer you. I don't even have to think about that, bruh. I'm not about to do. Why would you think you goofy? Why you think I'm gonna do what you want me to do? That's gonna get me cut off. That's goofy, yo. I'm not gonna follow that. I don't even have to think about that. You goofy. Keep going.
If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace.
Right. That's the faith you need to have faith in God. That even sometimes you don't even know if he'll deliver you. They didn't know if they were going to get delivered. But they said either way, I'm going to serve God. Because I'm not going to serve Satan. Nah, you can't do that. Because you serve Satan, it may come with benefits now. You might not get thrown in the fire by the man now. But best believe, God got the power to raise your body. He got a lake of fire to put you in for all the people that want to disobey him. So who you going to follow? See, sometimes serving Satan comes with benefits. But that's why the Lord said, why would you even gain the whole world and lose your soul? So think about it, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
And he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy God.
That's what you need to be lit like that for the Lord, brothers and sisters. Say either way. I don't even know if God's going to deliver us. That's just like with us serving God during COVID-19. We don't know if we're going to get sick by gathering, brothers and sisters. But you got to have the faith to serve God regardless. Because if you die serving God, then you die a martyr. You get into the kingdom, brothers and sisters. Yes, that's what this is all about. So this is the same similar kind of scenario. You know, it's just more pressure what we reading about, but that pressure gonna come back. So this is a test run, honestly. Keep reading, bro.
Nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed.
Where you at?
19.
Okay, his visage.
Visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Because they worked for him. They were governors. They were men of high stature in the Babylonian government, brothers and sisters. So that's why his anger, he got real mad. Because he was like, oh, not them. He's like, I know they're going to do what they say. They work for me. Nope. We actually work for God. So your job and stuff like that, you could have relationship with them. But if they want you to do what, that's contrary to God, you say, bump that. Let them know in a hurry. You shouldn't even have to think about it. Should I take this job on the Sabbath? You shouldn't even have to think about it. You should be like Daniel. No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to serve God, not man. Keep going.
And commanded that they should heat the furnace one 7 times more than it was wont to be heated.
Look at that. 7 times more. They really trying to bring that heat. Keep going. What happened though?
And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace.
All right, so brothers and sisters, we see servants of God will be persecuted. That's the lesson I taught in New York, when we just went up there with Stan and Godfrey, that the persecution of God's church, brothers and sisters. If you serve God and you serve righteousness, you will be persecuted. But guess what? God delivered these men out of this situation. Because God is always bigger than the circumstance. So if you have faith in God, even though they were cast in the fiery furnace, right? They was like, hey, we'd rather be cast in the fiery furnace than be cast in the fiery lake. Right? And God was able to save them out of that. And just like he can save them out of this, he can save you out of any death that comes as a result of obeying him, brothers and sisters. He can save you out of that. So you shouldn't even worry about death. Revelation 13. Because we all know how that story ends. Revelation 13. That's a huge message for today, brothers and sisters. That's where your faith has to lie. Revelation 13. And when you get there, Bo, pick it up at verse 11. Go ahead.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and it had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spake as a dragon.
All right, so look, brothers and sisters, it's speaking as that dragon is talking like Satan. It's giving you lies, brothers and sisters. Dragons don't speak, but they give you false doctrine, right? Satan is the father of lies, brothers and sisters. He is a murderer from the beginning. So he's trying to kill you, give you false doctrine so you can believe that, be twisted in your mind, not serve God, and end up with the same fate as him. Because we saw in Isaiah he was going to be cast down to the pit even though he wanted to exalt himself. And that's the crazy same mindset. People be high in life, prideful. They be living like nobody can touch them until they dead. Right? All that goes back to Satan, brothers and sisters. All that pride goes back to Satan. Keep reading, bro.
And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was his.
Alright, so now this is the revival of the Roman Empire, brothers and sisters. This is what we reading about, and I'm about to show you they about to do the same thing. This is the Mark of the Beast chapter. We back at it. This is the Mark of the Beast chapter. This is it. This is the MOB right here. I'm about to show you it's going to be the same thing that we just read about in Daniel, brothers and sisters. The old Babylon did it. Now the new Babylon going to do it. Keep reading.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven.
Oh, he even doing more than what King Nebuchadnezzar was doing. Right? Well, you can read this back in Job 1. Brother Bowie, dropped that amazing gem. He showed Satan been operating like this. This is what happened in Job. So it ain't nothing new. Don't be deceived. That's why you have to have the knowledge. The servants of God going to know when it's a trick from Satan. We know that. So we're not going to be deceived by you, Pope. Keep reading.
From heaven on earth, and the sign and the sight of men, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Right. Saying what? Keep going.
Saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the
beast. Make an image to the what?
The beast.
Isn't that what we just saw with Nebuchadnezzar? Didn't he make an image? Didn't he have all the people bow down to that image? Mm-hmm. Come on, brothers and sisters. Ain't nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun.
This is real life. God is letting you know. You can read about Nebuchadnezzar in history. You can read about the 7 hills of Rome. Understand this is going to happen.
Make it plain, bro.
Keep reading, bro.
Which had the wound by a sword, and did live. And he had power.
See, he had a wound. He was wounded in 476 AD, but he's being revived through the EU right now. Keep going.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Look at that, brothers. This is the same exact thing Nebuchadnezzar did. Old Babylon did it. New Babylon doing it too. It's Rome, brothers and sisters. He had the power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And understand that worship starts in your mind. Are you going to follow God like we read about in Deuteronomy and keep his commandments? Or are you going to follow this beast system? You're going to follow them telling you to go to church on Sunday and everything that comes along with that. Going up to heaven, wearing crosses, doing away with the law, eating unclean food, fornicating, and thinking you can just pray to God and it'll be okay. Doing away with the law, period. That is how you're going to end up with the mark of the beast, brothers and sisters. Keep reading.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor.
Everybody. That's what I'm saying. This is what the mob do. He don't care who you are. Everybody can get it. You got to do this. You got to get down or lay down. Rich or poor. So don't even worry about the Masons. The rich people can't escape. Elon Musk can't escape. You know what I'm saying? None of these cats can escape. Amazon, Google, Gates. None of y'all can escape this. This is what the world should be focused on, brothers and sisters. And he calls it all, both small and great. Rich and poor. Rich and poor, brothers and sisters. So not even the poor people, man. The people that need a break. They can't escape this. Free and bond. I'm going to show you how they're going to try to get the poor too. I'm going to show you that. You might be wondering, how? How can they do that? How can they account for all these undocumented people? These people not even on the system. They off the grid. I'm going to show you. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Keep going.
And that no man might buy or sell.
Oh, so you got to have control over the economy. This is the mob for real. You really running it. And no man might buy or sell. In order to control that buying or selling, you must control the economy, brothers and sisters. Understand it. Save what?
Save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
Right, so that's the only way you're going to be able to buy or sell is if you have that mark of the beast. Verse 18, verse 18, go ahead.
Here is wisdom.
Right.
Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
All right, so this is what we started off with, and they tried to say it was Nero, right? People tried to say it's all types of things throughout history, right? Well, let's really find out what that 666 stands for, brothers and sisters. I got an article on Lines and Precepts. That's a website that I administer. And I wrote an article called 666, the Antichrist, Abomination of Desolation. And you see this dude looking like that evil guy from Star Wars with that sun disc because they worship the sun. Okay? The S-U-N. I'm going to show you where those letters come from, brothers and sisters. 666. The letters inscribed in the Pope's mitre are these. Vicarius Filii Dei, which is Latin for Vicar of the Son of God. All right, that comes from our Sunday Visitor, April 18th, 1915. Again, that's a Catholic publication. Okay? Now, that term Vicar of Christ, we're going to read about it in history, the last 2 million years. All right, bruh, I'm going to let you read this.
All right.
So I want you to start from that first blue part, and you're going to follow the highlight.
All right.
Yeah.
The test of strength between emperor and pope.
One second. Sorry. This comes from the book, The Last 2 Million Years, page 218, from the title, Feudalism, a Network of Loyalties Rooted in the Land. This is a Reader's Digest publication, and we're reading about the term Vicar of Christ, starting from the beginning.
The test of strength between emperor and pope ended when Henry the Fourth found his German vassals siding with the Pope.
Right, so you had emperor and you had the Pope. That's how it was in the Roman Empire, brothers and sisters. After those 3 horns were plucked up from the root, you had the emperor and the Pope go hand in hand like this. It used to just be the emperor, but the Pope got power from Satan, came up on the scene, and now the emperor had to be subject to the Pope, brothers and sisters. That's why the popes would crown the emperors. That's how he got Charlemagne. He just crowned him, on Christmas Day. And he knew he was subject to him, to the Pope, because he was crowned by the Pope. Just like you bow down to the Pope. That shows the Pope has the power. That came from Satan, brothers and sisters. And that's why Napoleon didn't allow himself in history. We all know the story. He didn't allow himself to be crowned by the Pope. He crowned himself because that was a big symbol. He was letting him know, you don't run me, bruh. I'm going to do this on my own. I'm not going to let you crown me, because he knew what that meant. That's the vicar of Christ, brothers and sisters. But there's no way you can replace Christ. It's a blasphemous title. Keep reading.
And realized that he was beaten. As the Pope traveled...
So read that from the top again.
Okay. Vicar of Christ.
Yep.
The test of strength between Emperor and Pope ended when Henry IV found his German vassals siding with the Pope.
Right.
And realized that he was beaten. As the Pope traveled to Augsburg and Germany to confer with Henry's rebels, Henry hurried south to meet Gregory at Casanosa and Tuscany.
In Tuscany. All right. Tuscany, Italy. Tuscan leather. That's where that come from. Keep going.
It laid down that a bishop paid homage to the king or emperor for the lands he owned, but was chosen and consecrated by the church.
By the church. Keep going.
But by the time the Pope Innocent III...
Pope Innocent III, brothers and sisters. Keep reading.
The authority of the Pope was all but supreme. Innocent III.
See, look at that. The Pope's authority was greater than the emperor's. And that's what you're going to even see. You're going to have the beast and the false prophet. The Pope and the emperor. You're going to see that even in the last days for the Roman Empire to be revived. This last beast, this 10th beast that's going to try to revive the Roman Empire, he's going to be successful. He's going to do what Napoleon and Mussolini and these guys couldn't do, which is revive the Roman Empire. This last one, he's going to be a temporal leader. He's going to be like an emperor type guy. He's going to have political sway and power. He's going to rise up and he's going to be the one to reunify Rome, brothers and sisters. But you're going to have the Pope who he's really going to be taking orders from. Keep going.
And he was the first to use the title Vicar of Christ.
He was the first to use the title Vicar of Christ. Keep reading.
When he said, no king can reign rightly unless he devoutly serves Christ's vicar.
Look at that. He said no king, period. So no wonder the kings of the earth have committed fornication. We read in their mindset from Satan saying no king can even rule their own country unless you bow down to me. You understand that I'm the boss. This the mob, baby. They letting you know. Get down or lay down. Right? Where you at?
I'm right here now.
Let me see. We don't need that. That's all good. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's all we needed to see. That comes from Satan, brothers and sisters, and it's nothing new. Alright? So now, I was going to show 666. So that's where the title came from, Pope Innocent III. And now we're going to break it down. If you look at that title, Vicarious Filii Dei, and you add up all those letters in Roman numerals, the V is 5, the I is 1, the C is 100, A and R 0, the I is 1, the U is 5, the S is 0, the F is 0, the I is 1, the L is 50. These are what they mean, you know, when you see X in Roman numbers, you know it means 10, right? Well, all these letters have Roman numeral values, brothers and sisters. That's how Hebrew works too. That's why alpha, A. Alpha, so it's not just a word, it's a number. That's how letters work. Okay? That's how language works, brothers and sisters, in certain languages. And Latin happens to be one of those languages. So that's why they have a numeric value. Alpha, omega, beginning, end. Alright? That's how letters and numbers work, brothers and sisters. So the F is 0. The I, when you see an I in Roman numeral, you always know it's 1, right? You see the V, you know what that is, right? It's 5, right? When you see the V, you see the X is 10. So they all have values, brothers and sisters. So again, we just did vicarious. Now you have Filii, F-I-L-I-I. F is 0, I is 1. L is 50, I is 1, I is 1. Day, or God, is D is 500. E is 0, I is 1. You add that together, you don't get Nero. You get the papacy, because Vicarious Filii Dei equals 666, and we even know where he sits on the 7 hills of Rome. That's where the true 666 comes from, brothers and sisters. Now, Vicar of Christ. Now, we're going to read from our last reference, and I'm going to read something about Ash Wednesday, brothers and sisters. Because if you notice, every Ash Wednesday, they put a mark on your right hand or on your forehead. Why do you think they do that? Why?
He calls us all, small and great, rich or poor.
To receive that mark. And it's hidden in plain sight. That's what they do. They're so pompous that they'll do that, brothers and sisters. But you have to have knowledge. You don't have to be, an initiate to see this stuff. You have to be an initiate in the word of God. Come into the covenant, and then you can see this stuff. You'll be the true illuminated ones when you walk in the light of the law of God, brothers and sisters. That's the true Illuminati. Not this false Illuminati that was created under the Jesuits. Okay? So now, verse 5. Lent. This is from another book from Brother Elisha Israel. I'm telling you, he cold. The Pagan Origins of Christian Holidays. Chapter 5. Lent. Awaiting the rebirth of spring. What you see here on the page is a lady, a Gentile lady, with a mark of a cross on her forehead, brothers and sisters. And that's where they take it. If you can't do the forehead, they'll put it on your hand. So listen to this, because we're going to see what Lent has to do with Ash Wednesday. The Catholics know. It ought to be known that the observance of Lent did not exist as long as the primitive church retained its perfection unbroken. That's from the 5th century, from Cassianus. From the 5th century, brothers and sisters, or Cassianus. From the 5th century, that's what he said. Now, Brother Lish is going to break down. Lent is the 40th day before Easter and is observed in many Christian denominations. This is the 6 and 1 week period that lasts from Ash Wednesday to Easter Sunday. So Lent starts with Ash Wednesday, brothers and sisters. That's why they put that mark on your head. During Lent, Christians fast and refrain from various pleasures. This is said to be for the purpose of preparing to commemorate the passion, death, and resurrection of Christ. Although the Holy Scriptures do ordain a period of fasting and commemoration of the passion of Christ, this was not the 40-day period known as Lent. In the book of Leviticus, it is written, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of the 6th of the 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation, holy gathering, brothers and sisters. Unto you, ye shall afflict your souls, which is to fast." That's the fast we read about in the Bible. God's feast days. See, the Lord's holy days have been replaced by holidays from Satan, brothers and sisters. He just changed that Y, put an I on that bad boy, and gave you pagan customs like Easter, Lent, and Christmas. Halloween, Thanksgiving, all of that. Pagan, goes back to Babylon. Furthermore, Paul prophesied of such a doctrine concerning unholy fasting in his epistle to Timothy. 1 Timothy reads, you can read that 1 Timothy. Read that right there. 1 Timothy 4, go ahead.
Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times, some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with an hot iron, forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believed and know the truth.
All right, thank you. So forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats, that's not telling you to do away with God's dietary law, because then you would be calling God's dietary law a doctrine of devils.
Right, make it plain, bro.
This is telling you about the doctrine of devils from the Catholic Church, and here's their doctrine. They're forbidding to marry. They're the only organization to tell you that priests, nuns can't get married, brothers and sisters. And because that's an abomination, an ungodly act, ungodly law, as a result, you can watch the movie Spotlight, and you will see all the molestation, all the homosexuality, all the wickedness that they try to cover up, brothers and sisters, as a result of putting in abominable and doctrines of devils in their church, brothers and sisters. Abominable doctrines. Forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats, that's where you get Lent from. When they abstain from certain things. That's where Lent come from, brothers and sisters. So the Bible is revealing this whore, this hoe, right? Revealing, brothers and sisters, because that's what light does. It reveals in the dark. It reveals the darkness, brothers and sisters. Paul is specifically prophesying of the rise of the Catholic faith. In Catholicism, which is the mother of all Christian denominations, because they even call themselves the mother church, that's written, legislated all throughout the Catholic Church. They're the mother, right? The popes have even told you that. They're no sisters of ours. We're the mother church. But the Lord already called it. He called them the mother of hoes, though. Because all these churches be hoeing with false doctrine, sleeping around with Satan, brothers and sisters. It's all nasty. It's perverted. It's twisted. And that's why the world hasn't got any better with all these churches. The world has only gotten worse. Because nobody's serving God. He says, which is the mother of all other Christian denominations, priests are prohibited from getting married. In addition, they have instituted a spring fast and attributed it to the suffering of Christ. However, such a fast and its rituals are rooted not in Christ, but in the pre-Christian pagan worship of antiquity, right, of history. The word Lent means spring. Ain't that crazy? And derived from the Old English word lynching. Spiritually speaking, all roads lead to Babylon. And such is the case in regard to 40-day spring fasts. In one version of the Babylonian myth, Tammuz, the great hunter, was slain while hunting a wild boar. Devotees mourned for him through weeping ceremonies for 40 days. During the days of Ezekiel, the ritual was even found among the Israelites. Ezekiel writes, read this.
He said also unto me, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do. And he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north. And behold, there sat women.
What are they doing?
Weeping for Tammuz.
Weeping for Tammuz. So we're not making this stuff up, brothers and sisters. We are not making this stuff up. That's what Lent, Ash Wednesday, when they mark you, you're just showing them that you're not serving God. You're serving Satan and the pagan Babylonian rituals that Satan has put in the mind of men to create false gods. That's why God said, don't have no other gods before me. That's why he said he a jealous God. And that's why you will go to the lake of fire for following this system, brothers and sisters, and not following God. So now, I said I was going to show you how they was going to get the rich and get the poor and get all of that. Well, as you can see from the lesson, it says Pope calls for universal basic wage, brothers and sisters. This happened not too long ago on Sunday, April 12th, 2020. If you've been paying attention to the news, right? This comes from the Vatican. I did an article again on the Lines of Precepts website. If anybody want to check it out and share it with friends and family. Pope prepares for Mark of the Beast with consideration of basic wage. When this article came out, I'm gonna read from the actual article. The actual article came from the Vatican, from Vatican News, brothers and sisters. VA News, the Vatican News. That is the most official source for Vatican information. This is what they said. I put the Mark of the Beast part in because I know what they're really doing, right? But they call it, listen to it, a universal basic wage. Universal, brothers and sisters. So think about that. Remember, you cannot buy or sell without this mark. So you got to control the economy. Listen, Pope Francis writes a letter to popular movements. It's like grassroots organizations and community organizations on the front lines of the coronavirus pandemic response, calling for the consideration of a possible universal basic wage. That's again why I said I know for a fact God is controlling COVID-19, because all of this stuff is falling into place right now, brothers and sisters. And that's how we know it's only going to get worse. As a result of this pandemic, now he wants to propose a universal basic wage. Because think about it. We already did a stimulus in this country. Well, the whole world weren't doing that. So they're saying, they're trying to be slick and say, you know what, we really care for people. Like Trump in his letter, if you got the stimulus check and you see the letter he sent out from the IRS, they try to make it really look like they care, right? But they don't care about you. They don't care about you. They serving Satan at the end of the day, brothers and sisters. So look, by Vatican News, in a letter dated, 5 minutes. Okay, I might be able to do that. By Vatican News, in a letter dated Easter Sunday, 12 April 2020. Easter Sunday, brothers and sisters. This is when he said it. Amid the COVID-19 pandemic, this is word for word from the Vatican News article. It says Pope Francis has called for the consideration of a universal basic wage that would ensure and concretely achieve the ideal at once so human and so Christian of no worker without rights. That's what they try to say, so everybody could have rights. Because you got people losing their jobs. It makes sense. Logically, it makes sense for them to try to implement it, but understand they got an agenda behind it. That's how Satan deceives. It always looks good. You know, come one, come all. The church doors are open. That stuff looks good. It even sounds good, but it's an agenda behind it, brothers and sisters. That's how deception works. It's an agenda. They're not going to tell you, come take this mark of the beast. We setting up for the market. They're not going to tell you that, or else they wouldn't be able to fool you. It's deception, brothers and sisters. You got to be able to have the Spirit of God to get discernment for this stuff.
Absolutely.
It says the letter is addressed to world popular movements, some of whom he recollects meeting with when in Bolivia during an apostolic visit in 2015 and in the Vatican the following year. So he talked about it before, but now he's really trying to give it some teeth, so to speak, right? So I'm going to just skip down to this because that's what he wants to do. And this is my commentary. If you go down, Lines and Precepts commentary, that's my commentary. This is what I got to say about it. I'm going to just read this. I could just tell you, but I'm going to just read this. Same thing. I said, here is an esoteric secret. Esoteric is behind the scenes, right? That's behind the scenes. You got esoteric.
Yeah, right.
Esoteric is behind the scenes. You don't see this, but this is a secret. The Pope's advocacy for ecological sustainability, women's leadership in popular movements, grassroots organizations for social, economic, and racial justice amidst the COVID-19 pandemic is just pretext for the mark of the beast. Do not let the seriousness of these real social issues or the Pope's flattering diction blind you to the underlying deceptive and satanic agenda. If you scroll to the bottom of this website, you will see a floating news section filled with current events. There you will see the 4/13/20 Forbes article. I posted an article from Forbes regarding the Pope's declaration for women's leadership in the Catholic Church and the universal basic wage. So on another event, he said the same thing, but he's using women because women been fighting for equal pay and all of this stuff, right? So it seems good. It seems like, oh yeah, that'll be the cure for everything, right? But remember, that's the mob. For women leadership in the Catholic Church and a universal basic wage. Simultaneously, there is a push towards universal basic income for undocumented workers. So remember, the people that's not on the grid, or the people that's poor, the people that's undocumented, the people that's behind the scenes going hard. It sounds real good. It sounds like you really trying to help them. No, that's not what they doing, brothers and sisters. They trying to find them. Exactly. It's surveillance capitalism. Look up that documentary, Surveillance Capitalism. That's exactly what it is. Towards universal basic income for undocumented workers and ultimately every global citizen. These are my words now, but this is what I know they're going to do. One must understand how the papacy uses real life issues to deceptively gain public support for their evil agendas. As we have read above, Pope Francis has called for the consideration of a universal basic wage, right, that would ensure and concretely achieve the ideal at once so human and so Christian of no worker without rights. So, but we already read about the mark of the beast, that no man should buy or sell. That's how I know it's preparation for that. Because in order for the majority of the world to be subject to the mark of the beast's power must have total control over the economies in which they wish to enforce the mark. This is how the Pope will ultimately be able to control who can buy or sell. If they're controlling who gets money, they're controlling if you can buy or sell, brothers and sisters.
Right, right.
It's an okie doke. They don't care about you. Thus, national governments must give up their sovereignty to the Pope, like during the times of the ancient Roman Empire, and like we've seen the kings of the earth commit fornication with the beast. He tells them what to do. They bow down. Most do not realize that the legal framework for the European Union, formerly known as the European Economic Community, is what? The Treaty of Rome. So logically, we can deduce that the Roman Empire will be revived through the European Union, brothers and sisters. The EU is based on an actual treaty called the Treaty of Rome. So that's how we know that the EU is going to be the revived Roman Empire. Because it's the same countries that used to make up the old Roman Empire. Right. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Nothing. How will this happen? I'm asking the question. As forementioned, these various EU nations will give up their sovereignty to join forces with the revived Roman Empire. My brother, can you read Revelation 17, verse 12 and 13?
And 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet.
They haven't received a kingdom on their own as yet, but
receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast.
Oh, but they receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. Just like, Alexander the Great's generals became kings, and we read about them in Daniel 7 and Daniel 8. They had power, right? Well, this is the same concept. They're going to have that power now, but they have to give up their sovereignty to the beast, because the beast giving them their power. And remember, he can do that. He got the power, because guess who? He got it from Satan. And again, that's why Satan said, I'll give you all the kingdoms. So that's why these kings are following the Pope, who's following Satan. It says, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. What?
These have one mind.
They have one mind. So they're going to be on an agenda, have one mind, and be on one accord, because they're committing fornication with the beast. And remember, I told you, if you sleep, if you commit fornication with the harlot, you're joined together as one with the harlot, brothers and sisters. This is what the EU nations going to do. This is actually talking about them, brothers and sisters. These are 10 nations coming together as one. That's how the Pope going to have his armies. That's how he's going to tell you what to do. He's going to have their armies, brothers and sisters. The EU military. All right? So start from 13 again.
These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
To give their power. That's what I was just talking about. Giving up their sovereignty, brothers and sisters. So just like the Pope, listen. So just like the Pope and Catholic Church legalized the transatlantic slave trade via the papal bull Dum Diversis, that's Latin, Dum Diversis on 18 June 1452, and the Holy Roman Inquisition, which tortured and killed millions, they will use their widespread hegemony or power, which will hang on the EU military, and this is just my opinion, the International Criminal Court, because that's also tied to the Treaty of Rome, to legally enslave, just like how they did on the slave trade, right? To legally enslave, torture, just like how they did on the Inquisition, legally, and kill anyone who does not willingly take the mark of the beast. Understand, I said willingly. It's going to be your choice. They're not going to force you. It's your choice. Just like with Daniel. That's why we read that. It's going to be your choice, brothers and sisters. Some people think that they can do it in your sleep or something. Nah, it's your choice. That's why God's going to hold you accountable. And kill anyone who does not willingly take the mark of the beast in accordance to biblical prophecy, brothers and sisters. So I have more information. I really, really, really recommend you go ahead and you look at the fact that Pope called for this universal basic income. I urge you to find out what that actually really means and what the universal basic income is. They want to use that to replace the welfare system. Brothers and sisters. Yeah, it's on this article right here. You can look at it afterwards, or I can send it to you. Get on that, brothers and sisters. Now let's go to our last place, Revelation 20. And my bro, when you get there, pick it up at verse 1, because now we're going to see what's going to be the end for these people who take this mark, brothers and sisters. Revelation 20. Go ahead.
And I saw an angel come down from heaven.
Oh, the angel's still coming down, just like the kingdom coming down. We not going up. Heaven don't got a ghetto. Keep going.
Having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand.
Go ahead.
And he had laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
All right, because, we got the oracles of God, brothers and sisters. We know how to decipher Revelation. You don't have to go to that lady in the Vatican. She don't know what she's talking about. Come to us if you want this word. Go to Israel if you want this word. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Brothers and sisters, this 1,000 years is going to be the Lord's day. The Lord's rest, brothers and sisters. This is what the Sabbath that we keep points to. Tell me what Sunday points to.
And cast...
No. Don't. No. Sunday does not point to anything, brothers and sisters. And what you was about to read does not point to Sunday either. This is anti-Sunday. We are anti the Catholic Church. Keep reading.
And cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled.
This is in Jesus' kingdom. This is what we try to get into. We make the first resurrection. We'll be in this kingdom. That's why we keep it God's Sabbath day and not Sunday. You need to throw Sunday away and keep God's Sabbath, brothers and sisters. That's his mark. Even in Exodus 31, it tells you that that's a sign, brothers and sisters. Just like the circumcision. It's a token, brothers and sisters. That's right. It shows God who's really down for him. Right? That's why he said in Luke 6:46, why call me Lord, Lord, and do not the things that I say? Mm-hmm. You got to follow God's commandments to really show that you riding with him. And if you don't, that means you following the beast. Plain and simple. Keep going.
And after that, he must be loosed for a little season.
Right.
And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them.
Okay.
And I saw souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus.
Oh, so souls can get beheaded? Yeah, you are the soul, brothers and sisters. You don't got a soul inside of you. Right. And persecution comes from serving God in this wicked world, just like we saw with Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, brothers and sisters. Persecution comes. They will threaten to kill you for following God, brothers and sisters, because this world is ran by Satan. Go ahead.
And the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast.
Oh, had not worshipped the beast. So understand, taking this mark is connected to false worship, brothers and sisters. That's the spiritual sign. The spiritual sign of the mark is the false worship. The physical sign is what they're going to put on you because they need to know who you are so you can buy or sell. They can't do that if they don't have nothing to identify you. They can't look in your mind and see that you serve God. You got to show them through your actions. It starts in the mind, but it's going to end up a physical mark, brothers and sisters. Because that's how they're going to have to know who can buy or sell. They're going to have you under surveillance.
Absolutely.
Okay? Keep reading.
Neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands.
Oh, where? Their foreheads and their hands, brothers and sisters. Their foreheads and their hands. And what did they do? These are the people who didn't take the mark. What are they going to do?
And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
1,000 years, brothers and sisters. That's what we are hoping for. But you got to be willing to die for God. These people were beheaded. So how you going to get scared of some city ordinance now? What you going to do when the fire really come? When they put that mark of the beast on you? And they threaten to kill you. And you see them killing people you know. Or killing your family. Your kids, brothers and sisters. What you going to do then? You got to be willing to die for God. That's the only way you're going to get this reward. You know, you got to be able to lose your life, like Brother Elijah said, so you can gain eternal life, so your soul can be saved. That was the lesson last night. Keep reading.
But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
You can only get the first resurrection by having faith in God and keeping the commandments. Keep reading.
Blessed and holy is he that hath part in this first resurrection.
Go ahead. It also tells you blessed are those that keep his commandments too. Because that's the only way. Keep going.
On such the second death have no power.
Right. You don't want to have to deal with the second death. Keep going.
But they shall be priests of God and of Christ.
And shall do what again?
And shall reign with him 1,000 years.
Oh, you reigning with him on earth. Because thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth. He going to rule on this earth and you going to rule with him if you ride this thing out to the end. If you keep the patience of the saints. If you keep the faith, brothers and sisters. The fruits of the Spirit. Love, joy, mercy. You know, you got to be long-suffering. You got to be patient, brothers and sisters. This is the only way you're going to get it, though. Keep going.
And when the 1,000 years are expired,
right,
Satan shall be loosed out of his prison.
Oh, now Satan going to be loose. And we know what's going to happen here, too. Keep going.
And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth.
Oh, so Satan's still going to be on his job, brothers and sisters. Even at the end. And people are going to have lived in God's kingdom for 1,000 years and still allow themselves to be deceived by Satan. That's cold. Keep going.
Gog and Magog. Together to battle. The number of whom is as the sand of the sea.
So Russia going to try to push, they're going to try to push up against Jerusalem, brothers and sisters. People think that this is going on now or it's about to happen. Nah. We are years and years away from this. We at least 1,000. Because 1,000 years, the day of rest didn't even start yet. So people, that's why you got to know who Israel is, brothers and sisters. But keep reading.
And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about. And the beloved city.
This is what they think they're going to fight against God's people in God's kingdom. You've lost your mind. Keep going.
And the fire came down from God.
That's how the Father just killed them. Just sent fire quick. No need to battle. Just send fire, burn them up real quick. Extra crispy. Keep going.
Out of heaven and devoured.
And it's the last verse, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
And the devil that deceived
them, what?
Was cast into the lake of fire.
What else?
And brimstone.
Who's in that lake of fire that's been there for 1,000 years? Read it.
Where the beast and the false prophet are.
The beast and the false prophet. The same ones that tried to get you to take that mark, brothers and sisters. Keep going.
And shall be tormented day and night forever and ever.
So the mob, they not really the mob, brothers and sisters. God, like Satan said, like God said to Satan said he wanted to be like the Most High, but God said, I'm going to bring you down to the pit. And that's going to happen to anybody that follows this mark of the beast system. If you take that mark, you see these guys are going to be in the lake of fire before Satan. That's how hot God is with them. So be warned, brothers and sisters. Keep the faith. Keep the commandments of God. Get some understanding. Do the Father's will and endure to the end. And I hope you got some understanding in Jesus' name.
Praise the Lord.
Praise God. Praise God. Praise the Lord. Do we have announcements? If not, we're just going to cut it.
Yeah, we'll close out first. Yeah.
All right, so we closing out. That's what I meant. Cut it. Let's go to the end. Let's close out. All right. Y'all ready? All right, let's go.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
In earth.
In earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day.
Our daily bread.
Our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercy endures forever.
And his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
For he is good.
For he is good.
For his mercy endures forever.
And his mercy endures forever.
The mighty one of Jacob.
The mighty one of Jacob.
The holy one of Israel.
The holy one of Israel.
King of kings.
King of kings.
And Lord of lords.
Lord of lords.
In Jesus' mighty name.
In Jesus' mighty name.
Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah.